From humble beginnings to superstardom, the Williams sisters' journey is a true rags-to-riches story. Raised in Compton, California, Venus and Serena Williams had to overcome significant challenges on their path to greatness. What makes their story even more inspiring is their unwavering support and love for each other. Despite being fierce competitors on the court, Venus and Serena have always been each other's biggest fans off the court.
There would be no Serena if there wasn't a Venus. Venus is so humble, she doesn't really take credit for that, but she burst open that door and I ran through.
Like, that's the size and the impossible scope.
They've been known to cheer each other on during matches, and even team up as doubles partners, winning numerous titles together. Their bond started from a young age, as Venus was the big sister, and with that came responsibilities.
People didn't understand him, but I think that it didn't take long for people to realize that this is a guy who's for his family, for his daughters, ride or die, no matter what.
Venus always looked out for Serena, whether it was on the court or just in relation to life generally. She mentored Serena, taught her the ropes of tennis, and helped her develop her game. But the admiration and support between these two sisters goes both ways. Serena's always been vocal about her love and respect for her big sister Venus. She's called her an inspiration and even credited her for paving the way for her own success. But why is that the case? Well, from a young age, Venus hated to see her sister disappointed. One such incident happened when they were in school. Serena encountered a problem over her lunch, which left her embarrassed. What happened was that the school had a special line for those who didn't have arrangements for food, and they were given a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Serena had no money for food that day and felt embarrassed to stand in that line. So, since Serena had spent her money on something else, she missed out on the fried chicken lunch that day. Serena felt disappointed and upset, and that's when Venus stepped in. She reached into her pocket and handed Serena her lunch money, saying, "I'll have the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I like peanut butter and jelly." Venus hated when her sister was going through a rough time, and this incident showed just how much she's always cared for her. But like all pro players, the Williams sisters have had their fair share of struggles and setbacks. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Venus and Serena talked about their childhood and how their father was their biggest motivator. They said that they would often play tennis on cracked and run-down courts. Plus, their father would have to improvise equipment for them to use. At times, they'd even have to dodge bullets while playing. Despite these challenges, they've come out on top and cemented themselves as global icons. They're the definition of never give up, and they credit their struggles for giving them the strength and determination to overcome obstacles throughout their lives. And as they grew older, the Williams sisters faced new challenges in their tennis careers. Both sisters have dealt with injuries that have forced them to take extended breaks from the sport. In an interview with People magazine, Serena opened up about the difficulties of recovering from a foot injury in 2010. She said that she was in constant pain and that the recovery process was slow and frustrating. Despite the setback, she was able to make a comeback and win several more Grand Slam titles.
From the game of evolution of life, or from the game of tennis,
Yeah.
not retirement.
No, you know what? Because I always feel like I think retirement is something that's super earned and that people...
Venus has also dealt with her fair share of injuries over the years. In a 2019 interview with Health magazine, she talked about how difficult it was to cope with the diagnosis of Sjogren's syndrome. For those who don't know, it's an autoimmune disorder that causes chronic fatigue and joint pain. She said that the condition made it difficult for her to train and compete at the level that she was accustomed to. But she refused to let it defeat her. Though, unfortunately for them, injury troubles weren't the end of it. The Williams sisters have also faced personal and emotional challenges throughout their lives. In an interview with Forbes, Venus talked about the struggle of dealing with the media scrutiny and criticism that comes with being a high-profile athlete. She said that she's learned to ignore the negativity and focus on the positive things in her life, but that it can still be difficult at times. As for Serena, in 2018, she gave birth to her daughter Olympia and experienced life-threatening complications that forced her to undergo multiple surgeries. In an emotional post on Instagram, she talked about the difficulties of the experience and the strength she had to summon to get through it. The road to success isn't without its challenges.
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. No, I'm getting there. I have a long way to go. I have such a long way to go. It definitely felt better than the first round.
And that's what the case was with the sisters. And as if all that wasn't enough, let me tell you more about their childhood struggles. As African-American girls growing up in a predominantly white sport, Venus and Serena faced racism and discrimination from an early age. They were often subjected to racial slurs and insults from both fans and fellow players. Venus once described a moment when a parent of a competitor called her a racial slur during a match when she was only 10 years old. Verbal abuse wasn't the end of it. They also faced obstacles such as being denied access to certain tournaments, or having to deal with racist officials who gave them a harder time than other players. Despite all of this, the sisters persevered and continued to train and play at a high level. The racism they faced didn't just come from the tennis community. They also received criticism from the media, with many journalists and commentators questioning their abilities. Plus, they dismissed their success as solely due to their physical attributes rather than their hard work and talent. And then, once Venus and Serena began to make a name for themselves on the junior circuit, they faced even more obstacles.
Texture, and I thought she did a wonderful job with getting that across, from even with the mom and the dad. And it's an amazing family in the book. So anyway, Olympia thinks it's her in the book.
Many of their opponents were older and more experienced, and they often had to compete against girls who came from more privileged backgrounds. Despite this, the sisters continued to train hard and hone their skills. After that, they soon began to attract the attention of coaches and scouts. And in 1991, Venus and Serena made their professional debut at the Bank of the West Classic in Oakland, California. Although they lost in the first round, their performance caught the attention of the tennis world.
Baseline here for the first serve of Venus Williams. That takes a little pressure off Radechka to be quite as accurate.
And many predicted that they would go on to become stars. Then, the rest was history. And the Williams sisters have their hard work and dedication to thank for that. They worked tirelessly on their fitness and technique, and soon, they finally received the fruits of their hard work. They turned professional in the mid-1990s, and quickly established themselves as rising stars in the tennis world. Venus, the older of the two sisters, was the first to break into the top 100 in the world rankings, and she went on to win her first Grand Slam title at Wimbledon in 2000. Serena, on the other hand, was also making a name for herself on the professional circuit. She won her first Grand Slam title at the US Open in 1999. Then, she quickly became known for her powerful serve and aggressive playing style. Venus also became the oldest woman to win a Grand Slam title in the Open era, when she won the Wimbledon in 2008 at the age of 29, while Serena broke that record when she won the Australian Open in 2017 at the age of 35. The Williams sisters' impact on the sport of tennis cannot be overstated. They broke down barriers, shattered stereotypes, and even showed everyone that women of color can excel in a sport that had long been dominated by white players. They also inspired a new generation of young players, both in the United States and around the world. Today, the Williams sisters are still actively involved in tennis. While Venus has begun to wind down her professional career, Serena continues to compete at the highest level and remains a force to be reckoned with on the court. And that's all from me on the Williams sisters' rags to riches story.